Hello and welcome to the Property Mastermind podcast, episode 172. Today we are talking about the Property Developer's Mindset Toolkit, how to get involved in property development with the right mindset so you do succeed. So jump on into this episode 172. Hello and welcome to episode 172, the Property Developer's Mindset Toolkit. So we're talking building your property development business from the inside out rather than raising it up from the ground. And solo episode today, it's just myself. Bob's out doing a bit of due diligence actually and checking out a site as we are active developers. So this week's episode is more around what's going on inside you to help you succeed at what it is that you want in life. So you can apply this to property development, but you could probably apply it to many other areas of your life. Before I do get started giving away the book, Property Developer's Secrets, which I don't have a copy next to me right now, but it's going to Jake Page. Jake, this is in the post to you. And remember, go to page 120 and you will enjoy reading about property development, but there are also plenty of other strategies in there. So where do I get started and why this topic? Today, I decided to talk about mindset because I've been working with people coaching for well over 15 years now, probably if we look at it, because I started off in the health and fitness industry, way more years than that. Crikey. Yeah, it shows how old I am. But anyway, I worked with people one-on-one for many, many years, and I kind of know what it takes for people to be successful in the area that they want to be successful. So I'm going to cover off on the mindset tools that you're going to need to be successful in property development. And it's easy for me to do because I look at where people get stuck and I'll break those down, and you can look at your own life and your own development journey or your own anything journey and just think to yourself, yeah, that's me, and I'm going to apply that strategy. Okay, so let's jump in to the mindset tools you're going to need to be successful in property development. Okay, the first one is vision and clarity. You need to know what you want to achieve. And for any of you that follow me in any other areas or social media, I do another podcast called Bounce Back Better, and that's all about mindset and tools for moving forward in life. But I'm massive on CBA, clarity, belief, action. And that's just, if we were to condense everything down, then that's what it takes for you to succeed in everything. In absolutely everything, really. So your whole life, it doesn't matter which area it is, you need to be clear about what you want. So when we're talking property development, you need to be clear about what you want to achieve. And it can't just be that I want to do property development. You need to decide, what does that look like for you? You need to be clear on that vision, because if it isn't, then it's really difficult for you to move forward. And if we were to break that down even further, what type of development do you want to do? Do you want to do a duplex? Do you want to do townhouses? Do you want to do rooming houses? Do you want to do a retirement village? Do you want to do apartments? Do you want to do a land subdivision? What is the development that you want to do? You need to be clear about that, because if you're not clear about it, you're not going to know where to look. And there are a lot of other things you need to be clear about. How much money you have to get started. If you've got none, what that means for you. How do you get a joint venture partner? What do you need to bring to the table for that to happen? So these subjects are all huge, but you need to be clear. So be clear about what it is that you want. What it is that you want. So you want to be a property developer. Is that a full-time role? Is that a part-time role? Is that just a one-off so we can get the family a little bit kicked off a bit more financially? Or is it something you see yourself doing full time? Or is it something you see yourself doing alongside a job a couple of times, or maybe doing 2 or 3 over the next 10 years? Just have a think about what it is that you want, because that makes a difference to the journey you're going to need to take. And when you've clarified what that is, it makes life so much easier. And remember, these strategies can be applied to every area of your life. So it starts with clarity. What one is it? What do you want? What do you want to achieve? And then belief. You have to believe that it's possible for you, because if there's any seed of doubt at all in your mind, then you aren't going to succeed. So you have to know and believe that you can do this, because so many others have done it before you. people that are older than you, people that are younger than you, people that have more money than you, people that have less money than you. You might be thinking right now, I don't think that's possible. But it doesn't actually matter where you're starting from. You just have to know and believe that it is possible for you, because it is. If it's something you want, then it is possible, because it's been done before. So I say, why not you? And really I say, if not you, then who? Because if you don't do it, somebody else will. So taking on that unshakable belief that this is possible for you is vital. So we started with C, clarity. Then we've got B, belief. Believing to your core with an unshakable belief that it's possible for you is something that you're going to have, and something you're going to have, and something that you're going to have to nurture, because it's not always easy. And I'm going to get to that one. And then lastly, under having clarity, is the action. You have to take action. And I'm going to cover off on action as we go through all of the other pieces of the mindset tools you're going to need to become a successful property developer. So let's look at the next one. So the next one is resilience. You have to have resilience, because it's not always easy. And finding your first site, and I say this very often to people on the phone, I don't gloss over it, it takes work. And you're going to think after maybe looking at 10 sites, oh my goodness, it's never going to happen. Well, you have to be resilient, because it will happen. And we have got many, many students with sites right now. We've got many, many students finding sites right now. So you have to be resilient to know that it will happen for you, but you've just got to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back and spending that time to work through the hard stuff. What happens often is we start working toward our journey and we're feeling really good about it and we're excited. We maybe bought an online course and we're thinking, yes, there I go, I'm on my way. And then what happens is life happens. So one of the kids reversed the car into the letterbox, or your mum got sick, or you're going to be getting married, or you were supposed to sell something and you didn't get what you wanted, or you lose your job, or you change jobs, or anything can happen. And what happens when that happens is you see that as an obstacle, and that becomes in the way, and you stop heading toward that thing that you really want, the thing you were clear about initially. You stop because your obstacle became in the way. And what you need to do is flick that switch, flip it, and see it as on the way, because life is always going to throw curveballs at you. There will always be obstacles. There will always be somebody needing something else from you. There will always be hard bits. We're sold a concept that life's supposed to be easy. Well, it's not. There's easy bits and there's hard bits, and that's life. But you need to work through them and carry on with your journey. So you need to be resilient. And I liken it to, and I don't know where I heard this, but I loved it. You're driving along in your car and something happens. So you pull into the parking lot. So you're in the parking lot and you forget to pull back out and carry on. So you've got to remember to get out of the parking lot and get back on your journey. You can't start off on your journey, pull into the parking lot because something happens. Let's relate that to your phone ringing. So you pull in, but you forget to come back out, because what also happens is we get comfortable in the parking lot. You've got to remember that your initial goal was something, and you had that for a reason. And you have to be really passionate about that goal. You have to have a why for that goal. So you are driven to succeed. So you are driven to want to keep going when it gets tough. And that's why you need resilience. You need resilience so you get out of the parking lot and carry on your property development journey when the going gets tough, when you're finding it difficult, when things are happening that you can't control anymore, when you feel like you've got no time, when it's just exhausting. You carry on, because that's what it takes. That's the mindset. The mindset is, I can and I will. And remember, if not you, then who? Because somebody else will. Okay, what's our next one? Our next one is calculated risks. You need to take calculated risks. And the word risk, which I don't know how I feel about the word risk, it always gets thrown in with property development. We don't say it with flying. We don't say there's a risk of flying. We don't say it with the share market. We don't say the risk of the share market. But we apply it to property. But you need to be sensible, and you need to be realistic, and you need to take calculated risks. And trust me, we hear way too often of people making uncalculated risks, and occasionally you'll wing it and get away with it. there will be the odd occasion when you do a property development without having enough education, without having enough knowledge, without doing enough due diligence. That will happen, and you might get away with it once or twice, or perhaps somebody you invest with gets away with it once or twice, but they won't always get away with it. And so you don't want to be investing with somebody or doing a development with that time that you don't get away with it. So you have to take calculated risks, which means you have to take them. You can't pull into the parking lot and think, oh no, too scary, I'm not going to do it. You have to think, have I done everything I can so I know that the due diligence is done, the numbers work, and this is the right path and the right journey for me. So you do have to take risks. And what we often find is, and that's why our mentoring program is fantastic, is when people get stuck at that point that they don't want to take the move because they're a bit too risk adverse. So everything, they've ticked all the boxes, they've done all the due diligence they can, the numbers stack up, it's all good, but they just don't pull the trigger. And it doesn't happen often, but by the time somebody gets to the mentoring program, because generally by the time they are there, they're very motivated, and we really do work with high achievers, people that know that investing in yourself is how you'll move forward faster. But you have to remember that you've got to take that next step, even if it feels uncomfortable. And it will. If you've never done it before, like anything you've never done before, it can feel scary. And you know what that feels like. You could relate that to something else you've done in your life that felt scary because it was the first time. So as long as you've ticked all of those boxes, everything's been done, then you have to take the calculated risk. You have to take it. And you know what? You can. You can take it. So pull out of the parking lot and get back on your journey. Don't pull into the parking lot. Do your DD. Know that your numbers stack up. It's in the feasibility. You know you've got it all right. And then you have to pull the trigger. You have to do it. Okay, what's our next one? The next one is decision making. You have to make decisions. You have to be decisive. And you have to move forward with decisions that you're comfortable with. Kind of backs on to the last one, meaning doing your due diligence. But you have to be decisive. And this, for me, I notice when people become indecisive, they start following other bouncing balls. They don't follow their bouncing ball. So they'll get hung up creating a business website. They'll get hung up for weeks or even up to a month on creating a logo. They'll get hung up on things that don't matter too much just yet. Those things matter at some point. But sometimes we put too much emphasis on things that don't matter, so we don't have to take the big steps and make the real decisions and do the right actions. So be decisive. And that also works with when you're looking at a site. That works with, no, that doesn't work, I'll move it on. Make that decision fast. And that's that level of knowledge when you are competent, not just confident. When you are competent with how you run a FISO, you can go yes or no. No, it doesn't work. I've decided, I move on and I go on to the next thing. Don't hold on to it. Don't waste time with it. Just know that you need to be decisive, and you need to be decisive in going yes or no with your site, and you need to be decisive with what's your next most important move. And ask yourself the question on a regular basis, am I wasting time? Am I doing stuff that doesn't really matter? Am I just being busy, instead of being busy doing the right thing or taking the right action? So have a think about your level of decisiveness. And you can actually work on your decision-making skills if you're not good at it. And trust me, I think I've spoken about this on a podcast, on my Bounce Back Better podcast. We often answer questions for our children as they're growing up. So we actually teach them to be indecisive instead of giving them choices. Would you like that or that? And then answering it for them. We need to allow them to make their own choices. And as an adult, we can do the same. When somebody says to you, would you like a tea or a coffee? The answer should not be whatever you're having. The answer should be tea. The answer should be coffee. It doesn't matter what the answer is. In my case, it's probably a glass of wine. But really, what I'm showing you is get in the habit of making decisions, because it's a muscle. It's something we can develop and become better at, rather than not making decisions because it's easy and it's just our brain being a little bit lazy. And so it starts really small with making those small decisions, but they flow through. So if you learn to be decisive, it makes it easier. in other areas of your life. So work on that decision-making skill. Just really think about how you could be better at making decisions if you aren't that good at them. And then if you find yourself becoming distracted and following other bouncing balls because you're putting off making a decision in the direction that you want to go. Okay, the next thing that you need to consider to have the right mindset is the long-term vision. And I kind of started that at the beginning with clarity, but I'm thinking more that zoom out, what does the big picture look like, and then zoom back in, what is my next step? So having that big picture vision, we just had a meeting with a new mentoring student, so we start off with an induction and ask them what it is that they want. What do you want to achieve? And then our goal is to work with them so they achieve that goal. And his goal was X amount of properties in 10 years' time, and I'm going to do it by doing X. We're like, great. Okay, so how do we help you get to there? So he had a zoom out vision, and that's what you need. But don't get stuck out there. You do not want to get stuck on the zoom out vision. Now we need to pull it in. What's the zoom in vision? Because I talk to plenty of people that have a zoom out vision. I want to be a full-time property developer. I want to be a this. I want to own X amount of properties. There's plenty of that goes on. Once you've got that zoom out, then zoom in. Okay, what do I need to do now? And that's when we break it down into those actionable steps and start taking the actions. So you need to have what is the big picture? And I alluded to, just with the clarity, when you've got that big picture, what's your why? Have a think about why that's important for you. Why is it important that you achieve that big goal? And for many of us, it's kind of financial, but there's a reason for that financial. We want security in our life. We want to leave a legacy for our family. We're tired of living hand to mouth. We want to have more time back. We want to own nice things. Whatever your vision is, whatever your big vision is, know what your why is for that. Why do you want that? What is the reason that you want it? And then feel the emotion of what it feels like when you think of it. Feel that emotion. Because when you start visualizing, seeing that zoom out, and you've attached a feeling, and you connect with that feeling, whoa, big things happen. Okay, don't want to get too woo-woo here because I know I'm working with a practical crowd, but those people around me that have that more sense of, yes, connecting, visualizing, knowing what I do want, will know that the reason we need to connect to that why, connect with the feeling and see it. And I do honestly believe that while we're on that zoom out, take a screenshot. It's like take a screenshot with your eyes. Take that photo. And when you wake up in the morning, just see that photo. See that as your reality. Give yourself that smile. Involve yourself in that warmth that it gives you. Because that feeling, seeing your future in advance, shows your brain where you need to go. I'm getting onto a bit of goal setting stuff here. But anyway, that was the zoom out, see what you want, and then zoom right in. Zoom right in. What is that next thing? What is the thing you need to do to head toward you achieving that? Okay, the next thing for this mindset, for the perfect mindset to help you be a successful property developer, is continuous learning. Continuous learning. Bob, after 40 years of property development, is continuously learning. He stays up to date with what's going on. He just speaks to the right people to know about what else is happening right now. Yesterday we had a Wi-Fi outage, so everyone was work from home day, and I said, okay, well, there's him and I in the same room, and usually when one of us is on a Zoom call or a phone call, we go into another room. But because we're working from home, we were just sort of sitting at the lounge table, and he was on a Zoom call with a lawyer, and Bob always works with the best people. Always, he will get the best lawyer he could get. He would get the best for what he wants to do, and he was learning some new stuff about capital raising and about finance. And when it comes to capital raising, Bob is an absolute genius. And when it comes to finance, he knows that world so well because he's done it for so long, 40 years. And he was learning new stuff. And I heard him say, he was like, wow, so that's, where this is heading. Oh, that's how we do that now. And it was just awesome to hear somebody with so much experience getting an absolute kick out of new learning. So you've got to keep up to date. You've got to keep educated. And number one, you actually need to get educated. And for any of you, and we say it on many podcasts, if you think that you can Google property development or ask someone to show you, and everyone has the best of intentions, but you won't You just, people, unless they're teaching you from start to finish and have some sort of course, they can't, because they don't know what you don't know. And there are so many steps when it comes to property development. So if you are looking at property development education, I definitely suggest you jump onto our website, Property Mastermind, and have a look. You're welcome to have a chat with me about how our courses work. But they're very detailed. And I think even with that example of Bob still learning yesterday, we just had our 3-day workshop a couple of weeks ago, and it was just amazing to see people there that have been so many times, and 2 people that have been podcast interviews this is episode 172. So over the time, I remember we did Jamie, and we just recently did Kyle, the accidental developer. Both of those 2 were there. And I asked them, I first of all said to Jamie, what are you doing here, mate? How many times have you been now? And he said to me, this is probably my 5th live workshop. He said, oh yeah, damn, I missed the last one. And that's what he said to me. I was like, oh, wow. That's crazy. And he said, I've probably watched the online course at least 5 times. Well, at one point, Jamie had 5 developments on the go. Currently, he has 3 on the go. So it's not like he sort of says to himself, well, I already know everything now, I'll move on. I asked him why he came back, and he said to me, well, what I like coming for is I always pick up something new. And I think that's gold. There's always the opportunity for us to pick up something new, open your mind to something new, allow you to see, I don't know, just a new way or a new anything, a new something. So there was that. And he also said it's just the energy of being around other people who are doing the same thing in the same space, and just networking with people, because when you're a developer, it can be a little bit of a lonely business on your own, and just being around like-minded people who are doing the same thing is just so energizing. And he said he just left fizzing. I had the same conversation with Kyle, and he actually wrote me an email afterwards and said, I just feel like I'm a real property developer now, because he was at about his 5th one. Now Kyle's doing a 14-lot subdivision, has had its hurdles, but it's been fantastic for him, and it's so exciting, how fast it's working, how fast things are finally progressing. But it's the listening to it over and over, and being on our live Q&A, every fortnight when we have it, and just that continuous connection with learning new things, with being open to knowing that, wow, I don't know everything, and every little thing I pick up is so useful. So for you listening now, if you're not educated and you're seriously thinking about property development, I definitely know that you need to get educated, and why not start with us? So we have enough people and only 5-star reviews, and we've had so many people saying we wish we came to you first if they've gone somewhere else. So definitely worth checking us out. And our next workshop's in May, so if you want to sign up to the bundle now, you can come along to that workshop, which is really exciting. But anyway, just know you can't Google it. You've got to learn it properly, and just be open to letting your mind get excited about learning about property development. It's great for your mindset. It's re-energizing. It's just exciting stuff. Okay, the next thing that helps with a property developer's mindset is networking. Networking, as I alluded to at the workshop, everyone was just fizzing. You've got 83 people there who are all, they were all on the same journey, and so excited to share their stories and connect with other people, which is really something that gives you a lot of energy and helps you stay motivated to move forward, pulls you out of that parking lot and keeps you on your journey, helps with that self-belief, helps with you taking action when you're around other people doing the same. And they say the rising tide lifts all the boats. So when you're with people who are doing the same thing as you, or slightly more than you, or a little bit less than you, it does reinvigorate you to feel a bit more excited about your journey. The other thing is, many people these days want joint venture partners, so networking for that reason is an amazing tool, because you have to connect with people, you have to know, like, and trust somebody, and that's something I spend a lot of time working in our community with, and especially with the mentoring students, but even just in the live Q&As, on how it's important to how you actually interact with potential investors and what you need to do. And just like everything, it's know, like, and trust. You have to know somebody, you have to like somebody, and you have to trust somebody. And so when you network with people, it's an opportunity for you to be very honest, because what is networking about? It is about that honest relationship. This is what I have, this is what I'm after, this is what I have, this is what I'm after. Are you the fit for me? Am I the fit for you? So when you're at actual networking events, it's really useful to be quite open about what you're after. And the other thing with networking is don't waste time stuck with one person, and be okay to say, well, this is a networking event. It's been fabulous meeting you. I'm going to move on and meet somebody else now. And that is just such an amazing tool. And you're saving yourself and you're saving them, because often people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to move on to meet other people. And if you're at a networking event or an event where, say, it is a property event of some sort, that is a fabulous tool to use. It's been awesome meeting you. I thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to carry on networking now. And when you say that, it's okay. It is not rude. And again, it helps you on your journey, because the more people you meet, you're going to meet connections. You're going to meet other people looking for the same thing as you. You're also going to meet people that will inspire you. Like I said, at the workshop, you'll be inspired, but then you'll also meet people that you inspire, and then maybe they might want to invest in your property development. You never know where networking goes, but it's also about connections, and that's something that Bob is very good at. I actually heard him talk about it yesterday or today, that he is good at, is the word, cultivating long-term connections with people. Very good at it. So he has so many connections that are probably like himself. There are people that are excellent in their field, and they're connected people. And I think that when you learn to use that tool, or when you learn to become like that, which comes from practice, by people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you, because you know how to connect, you know how to talk with people, then networking is a fabulous tool. So yeah, I did hear Bob say, I'm pretty sure that was this morning, that that's something he's quite good at. And I often teach a lot about personality profiling. So learning how to read people, learning how to understand what they are like. They have a preference. You need to communicate with them and their preference. So don't just be like you have one mouth, two ears, but I'm going to use my mouth only. You need to use the ratio of one mouth, two ears. I need to use that ratio. Listen. Learn to listen. People are always in a rush to tell you about them. Learn to listen and understand the other person, because then you'll find out what they need is what they need, what you offer, and that's when relationships really do move forward. If you leave a room and you know hardly anything about anybody else, then you need to brush up on your networking skills. Now, the last one is persistence. It's not always going to be easy, and what I find when I talk with many people is they get stuck. People get stuck, and it's only persistence that will help you move through that stuck phase. So if you right now are thinking, I want to do property development, but I'm not doing it, I'm not taking action, I'm not buying the course, I'm stuck, you need to ask yourself why. Why are you stuck? And how do I become unstuck? How do I become unstuck? Ask yourself that question. So it's very easy to get stuck and I'll think about it. Oh my goodness, I'll think about it. Or I'll change patch, but I don't know which one, so you do nothing. And when you get stuck, because you're not being persistent, you'll stop moving forward. So if you're not moving forward at all in property development because you're stuck, because you haven't taken any action, well, I suggest you just make a decision, because that's one of the tools and that I've talked about. Be clear about what you want. Zoom out. What does it look like? Zoom in. What's my next step? Be clear. Believe it's possible. Take action. Be decisive. So many things that these are all part of being successful in any area of your life. So if you're stuck, ask yourself, why am I stuck? How? Actually, don't even go with what, with why. How do I become unstuck? What is my next move? And it could be, I have to make a decision and I'm just going to do it. Because until you make that decision and become unstuck, you'll never go anywhere. And that indecisiveness, which is a form of holding you stuck, or you're just going around in a loop doing the same thing over and over, having the same conversations and getting nowhere, that's just crazy. And like I say, if not you, then who? Somebody else will do it if you don't. So how can you become unstuck? What is your next move? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you might let yourself down? Are you afraid that this might be something that you think you're going to do and you really don't, and you waste money on yourself? What are you afraid of? because everyone feels that fear, but it's the people that are successful that do it anyway. We're always a little bit fearful of new things, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. So just think, where am I stuck? What do I need to do? How do I do it? And bring it right down to the most smallest, minute thing and take action and do it. All right, well, I hope that I have helped you in some way to understand what it takes with your mindset to become a successful property developer, or even get started to get yourself on the motorway. And if you have been on the motorway and you pulled into the car park, get out of the car park and get back on your journey, because life is too short to end it by failing the rocking chair test, which means sitting on that rocking chair at the end of our life thinking, damn, I really wanted to do that. Or for those people that I speak to that say, oh, I thought about doing this 5 years ago. I thought about doing this 10 years ago. If I had only, I wish I, all of that stuff. Just take action, my friends. If it's something you've been thinking about doing, then do it. Because if not you, then who? All right, I hope I've inspired you to take one wee step forward. I'll put a link to my diary below if you want to have a chat. But seriously, if you're interested in doing property development, do it. All right, well, we'll be back next week, and we've got a great interview with somebody, I'm pretty sure that's going to be next week's episode, who came through the mentoring program and has done amazingly well many years later. All right, bye for now.